This is chapter number 3, Poverty as a Challenge. Now, poverty as a challenge, here, poverty is the most difficult challenge which is faced by independent India. After we got independence, poverty is the most important challenge which was in front of us. So, what is poverty? Poverty is a condition in which a person, a human being, or a citizen of a country, he lacks the financial resources and essential things to enjoy minimum standards of life. So poor people, they can be, you can differentiate them as urban and rural poor. So poor people can be landless laborers in villages, in jhuggi, or slum dwellers, those who live in slum, in cities and towns, and daily wage workers at construction sites, child the child workers who work in dhabas, and even the beggars. India has the largest single concentration of poor in the world, where every fourth person is poor. So, every fourth person, so if these are 4% in India, every fourth person, next, these two are poor, or you can say these two are poor. So, there are two typical cases of poverty. So, we'll take the case of Ram Saran and one more case of Lakha Singh, and then we'll try to understand, so what is the typical case of poverty. So these cases shows various dimensions of poverty, and this include how the food is available to us, that is lack of proper food, whether they have shelter, healthcare, or education, also whether they are getting clean water and sanitation, and they also lack in several other areas regular means of livelihood. So in urban case, we'll take example of Ram Sharan. Okay, so Ram Sharan is a daily wage laborer in a flour mill near Ranchi in Jharkhand. So he earned around rupees 1500 per month when employed. He supports his family, and the family is of 6 persons, besides sending some money also to his parents who are elder people. His wife and son also work, but none of his 4 children, they could attend school. So the family lives in only one room rented house on the outskirts of the city. The children are undernourished, or you can say malnourished. This means they are not getting proper food, vitamins, minerals. That is, they are not getting proper nourishment. They have very few clothes or footwear, and of course, the healthcare, they have no access at all. So this is the story of Ram Sharan in a picture. This is how he works, where his kids and the wife work. Then coming to the rural case. The rural case, this is the story of Lakha Singh. Here is Lakha Singh. Now, rural case, Lakha Singh is again a landless laborer. It's a small village near Meerut in Uttar Pradesh. And he does odd jobs for farmers, and he just earns 50 rupees per day. Sometimes he also gets some food grains and other items instead of cash, so that rather than getting cash, he gets something in return like food grains, etc. He is not literate. He has not got any education, and his family is of 8 people, and this lives in very kacha hut. If you see, these huts are very kacha, that means they are not made of concrete, near the edge of the village. And they also have, Lakha Singh and family, they also have no access to healthcare. They cannot afford new clothes or even the basic amenities like soap and oil. So if you see the difference between these two cases, or you can say the similarity, that they don't have money, they don't have proper access to money and also to various resources, and the family they have, they are also suffering because of lack of the various things, like, because basic thing is money only, but apart from that, the other government provided facilities also are not available to them. So what social scientists or samajik vagyanik, what they have idea about poverty, what they analyze. So social scientists, they analyze this poverty from many aspects, different angles besides the level of income and consumption. So we just saw the example of Lakha Singh and Ram Sharan. We saw that the income was the basic criteria. But social scientists says that if the literacy is poor, if a person is not literate properly, he comes under the definition of poverty. If malnutrition is there, and this malnutrition, that is, you are not taking proper food, you are eating, but you are not taking proper nutrition, that is, you need vitamins, you need minerals, you need fat, you need carbohydrates in proper, you can say, balanced diet. So malnutrition, this lead to poor resistance to disease, and this also comes under this aspect. Then lack of access to healthcare. If you're not well, you don't get proper healthcare, and you are educated or you still want to work, you're unskilled but still want to work, you have no job opportunities. And also you are living in a condition where there is a lot of filth, that is, sanitation is not proper, and the water, the basic thing is water, and you're not getting safe drinking water. So this also comes under the purview of poverty. Now there are certain indicators of poverty. So the most commonly used indicator for poverty is the social exclusion and vulnerability. What are these? Social exclusion means you are living in a poor surrounding with poor people. That is, you are excluded from enjoying social equality of better off people in the better surrounding. The social exclusion can be a cause as well as a result of poverty, which leads to exclusion of individuals or groups from facilities, benefits and opportunities that others enjoy. The problem here is in Indian social panorama, we have caste system. So in India, the caste system is based on social exclusion. That is, people which are belonging to certain class, mainly the scheduled caste, scheduled tribe and other backward classes, they are prevented from enjoying equal facilities, benefits and opportunities. And this is also an example of social exclusion. So this causes more poverty than the lower income. This is also a very important aspect when it comes to the poverty, that a person is socially excluded from the society just because of the caste system, or he's not having enough money. Vulnerability. Now this is also a vulnerability aspect or indicator of poverty. That vulnerability to poverty is a measure. This describes the greater probability of certain communities. For example, as I just mentioned, member of backward caste or individuals, for example, the widow, women who has lost her husband, the person who is physically handicapped, remaining poor in the coming time. So the person who is widow or physically handicapped, they will be poor because of the vulnerability they have. They are susceptible to the social pressure and unavailability of resources. So vulnerability is determined by various other options which are available at different communities in terms of the assets, what you have in your pocket, what you have as zameen jaidad, education, job, health, etc., and analyze their ability to face various risks like the natural disasters. So the group which face greater risk at the time of any natural calamity or disaster, they are called the vulnerable groups. So what is a poverty line? Because we have to define poverty when it comes to government, when it comes to provide the resources, we need to understand what is a poverty line. So just understand like this, your teacher. Now your teacher said that, okay, if you get 40 in this exam, then I am going to pass you. If you get less than 40, you will be failed. So exactly like this, we have a nirdhanta rekha or a poverty line. So below this mark, this line, you are poor, and above this, you are not poor, right? You're not poor. So poverty line is an imaginary line used by any country to determine its poverty, and this is considered appropriate by a country according to its existing social norms. So every country is different because it varies from time to time place to place and country to country. And the most common method which is used of finding out or determining the poverty is the income and consumption levels. Two things are there, income and consumption level. That is, people will be considered poor if their income or consumption level, what they consume, what they buy, this level falls below a given minimum level, that is the poverty line. And this is necessary, which is necessary for anybody to fulfill their basic needs. So how do we estimate poverty in India? So there are certain factors which come into play. So in India, a subsistence level, or you can say the minimum level of food requirement, as determined by its calorific value, that is, whenever you add or eat something, then you get energy, and that energy is in calorie. So this is the calorific value of the food you eat. Then comes the clothing, the footwear, the fuel, the lighting, that is the electricity, educational and medical requirement. These are determined by or you can say determined for estimating the poverty line. So there is a proper formula for that. Since in rural and urban areas the nature of work is different and the price of goods are different, that is, in the rural area the nature of work is quite harsh, that is, the labor work is more and the price of goods are lower. But in urban areas the work is normally sedentary, that is sitting work, and the prices of goods are quite higher. And the calorific requirement and the expenditure per capita, these will also be different if you consider rural and urban region. So what is the poverty line which is defined by the Government of India? This is minimum calorie requirement, that is, a person who is eating, he must get the energy. How much? In rural area a person should have at least from food 2400 calorie, and this urban area he must have at least 2100 of calorie. That is, in rural area because it is physical work it is higher, and urban area because less physical work, so it is less. And what is the minimum level of earning per month? And this is depending on the year, right? It is different for different year. In 2012 it was 816 in rural area. So if a person is earning 816 rupees, that is per month, then he, or above 816, he will not be called as poor. But you have to multiply this number with the number of people he has in his house or family. If a person living in urban area, he is earning more than 1000 rupees, then he is not poor. But you need to multiply this with the number of family members. Then only a poverty line can be defined. So the money value required for buying these calories requirement, this much. This is the last column if you see. In terms of food grains and other items is revised periodically based on the rise of prices of these goods, because every time there will be some inflation or increase in the price, so it will be adjusted accordingly. In urban areas the prices of essential items is higher when compared to the rural areas, and therefore the poverty line is higher despite having low calorific requirement per day. If you see, the low calorie is required in urban area, but still the prices are higher. Therefore the poverty line or the amount which is being described or finalized is higher than the rural area. So which are all the organizations involved in estimating poverty lines? So there are certain surveys for determining the poverty line. This is carried out by NSSO, and this NSSO means National Sample Survey Organization. So this is an organization under the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation of Government of India. And this NSSO, because the name comes as survey, it conducts surveys at the interval of 5 years. So it is the largest organization in India which is conducting very regular socio-economic surveys, and it was established in 1950. For determining the poverty line in different countries for their comparison, the international organization we have, like the World Bank, they use a uniform standard method, because the person who is poor in US and a person who is poor in India will be different, because a person who is poor in US, he might not have car, then he will be called as a poor. But in India, if you are having a car, you will not be a poor, you will be a rich person. So this is how a uniform standard method is followed, and as per this method, poverty line is level of minimum availability of the equivalent of dollar, let me make it a 1.25. Now it has changed. So it is $1.25 per person per day. And this $1, if you consider it to be 70 rupees, so this 1.25 comes around 90 rupees and 90 rupees are around. So if a person who is earning less than 90 rupees per day, he is really poor according to the World Bank. And if a person is earning more than 90 or 95 rupees per month, per day, then he'll be considered not as poor. So what are the poverty trends in India? See, we have seen a decline in poverty. If you see in 1994, about 45%, that is 100, in 100, 45 people were below poverty line or they were poor. But now this has just come to 21.9, that is 22 in 100 are poor in 2012. So if the trend of declining poverty ratios in India continues at this rate, which you see just now, then the poverty line may reduce to 20% in the next few years. This is what we are expecting. Now, group vulnerability to poverty. We'll talk about this with a story also, and then we'll continue with our discussion next time. Till then, thank you so much. Take care of yourself.